Welcome back to the Teacher's AI Cafe. I'm Kane, a teacher and a parent who wants AI to give us back our time. I share practical classroom-tested AI strategies to cut down your workload, improve your feedback and reduce stress so you can get your evenings back and be more present with your friends and family. No jargon, just actionable steps. Grab your mug. Now let's get going. Welcome back to the podcast. So, what's happened in the last 7 days for our tech update for educators on the 12th of January 2026? Already 12 days into the new year. My time flies. So, over the past 7 days, we've had some updates from Google, from Microsoft, they're always doing things, Anthropic, and a couple of studies talking about an emerging generation AI divide, which is really concerns for me as a teacher and as a parent as well. I will add that my family is a nice middle-class family, and therefore we can give all the resources for our kids around AI and education in general. That is not the case for a lot of families. And I'm aware of that. That's where we as teachers and systems got to fill those gaps for them if we can. Anyway, back on topic. So Gmail is built, they're calling it the Gemini era. And basically you'll do things like summarize long email threads, and you can ask general, ordinary or plain language questions, things like what permission slips are still outstanding for camp if you're doing it that way, for example. And they've got an upcoming AI inbox view. They'll put urgent messages at the top, things like invoices, parent appointments, timetable changes, things like that, while pushing things like all your newsletters, maybe your subscriptions, mailing lists, a bit further down. Writing tools such as Help Me Write, suggested replies, and things like proofread design to reduce drafting time actually within it. And that's quite common, but being built into the app obviously saves time to moving in and out when you're using, say, general AI platform as opposed and then putting your mail in there, copying it and then doing it both. Bit of an interruption there. I'll get back to in a minute. Lots of beeping. So what's happening with Microsoft Copilot? So on the new Windows 11 preview, the latest build adds 2 changes. For schools, Narrator, the built-in screen reader, can now send images, charts, and graphs to Copilot for detailed descriptions. And this will work on any Windows 11 device. So not only Copilot plus hardware, which has existed in the past, which is good. And for students with low vision, this can make slides and screenshots more accessible without relying entirely on the teacher's spoken explanation. So that's a positive. Assembly also introduces a policy that allows IT administrators to uninstall the Copilot app on managed Pro Enterprise and education devices. I think this is really good, giving choice to schools whether they want Copilot accessible or not to their students. So I think that's a positive change. I've also been listening in that department. So Generation AI. A widely discussed article that sort of came out this week saying that there is fears, I guess, of a social as well as an AI divide, with some children gaining real computing and AI literacy. And this has always been a problem with computers. And one Cambridge primary school, 10-year-olds are already training using simple machine learning models in class. Researchers warn that students who never learn how these systems work may grow up as passive users of technology that influence decisions about healthcare, finance, and even criminal justice, while their more privileged peers learn to design and question them. And here in Australia, there was a big push of making compulsory the digital technologies curriculum basically up to the end of year 8. Unfortunately, a lot of schools don't have the staff or just don't put it on the implement. So all the students don't actually get that sort of foundational knowledge. And this was obviously pushed when things like coding and computational thinking came out. And I'll have a bit of a gripe. Some schools don't even teach the curriculum. They do old school business type computing, which really doesn't help the students. Asked my son once, he's coming up to year 9 beyond the compulsory. He supposedly did computing, but like I said, he can't explain it. He never heard the term computational thinking, which is the core concept of digital technologies he was meant to be doing for the last 2 years. Really disappointing by that school. And this is a timely reminder, as AI literacy is not just about using like ChatGPT or Gemini drafting. It's about creating equity curriculum design and a status computing in the timetable that's important. So if we reduce the space for computing is what's happening, because a lot of teachers don't understand it. And I had a principal once said, because obviously it pushed it, he goes, I'd understand what you're talking about. I'd know it's important for our students. And that's what we want from our leadership. Even if they don't understand it, depending on their background, They need to get the staff to push it. Anyway, enough of my whinging. Back to the tech update. What's out? Claude Code 2.1 and Multimodal Copilot is now in Office 365. So Claude Code 2.1 is an environment for building software and AI agents. Very handy for people on that platform, particularly the agent behavior. So you can, things like reloading skills, clever, because better permission management and the ability to move sessions between local terminals and a web interface. So that's good for Claude users. And while this is fairly distant to the classroom, these are the tools teachers should be starting to use. And Microsoft has enabled anthropic, I can't get the word out today, models by default in some Microsoft 365 Copilot experiences. So Microsoft is getting different models, just not the OpenAI model, into their Copilot, which I think is a good thing as well. Last story. Let's see, something a bit more playful. At the University of Virginia's Darden School of Business, a lecturer has introduced an AI recreation of Alexander Hamilton into his strategy classes. Students explore economics and politics of early United States, not only with the lecturer and with each other, but with a chatbot that answers in Hamilton's voice. I guess they're recording, I assume they mean by his manner he's speaking. And perspective, not his actual voice itself. I'm not sure if that was ever recorded. I do not know. Drawing on historical informed arguments. The intention is to move beyond policing AI and essays, instead design assessments where students must explain and defend their thinking in real time. I think that's a good idea. For history and humanities teachers, it's an interesting prompt, which might look like students to argue with a carefully designed AI character from the past. While this is still being required to support their claims, accurate evidence, and disciplined reasoning, I think this would be a really good one, so you can really control what information is included in that, is maybe do a GPT or a very specific project where you build only that information can be used by your bot. Otherwise, you might start drawing in information that isn't historically relevant. But as we see across these stories, a pattern is visible. AI has been woven into everything: communication, accessibility, curriculum. Rather than sitting in separate experimental tools, what we want to do is, the task is for schools is to match the technical change with equally deliberate thinking about workload inclusion, ethics, and student agency within that. It's got to just become another tool. Like computers are just another tool. They're not a special thing that you teach separately. Anyway, enough for today's tech update. Till next time, keep up the good work.